for being here. This is Saturday Night Live. This is about life recovery. Because how many of you know that life is messy? Right? Anybody here, you maybe know somebody that has a messy life? You don't, but you know somebody? Okay. And so life is messy, and Saturday night is here to help you to deal with whatever's going on in your life. Now, we can't fix it for you, but we can try to help you in your life. And one of the main things that we want to do is, as Paul really spoke to it really well, and Lisa touched on it, is that we want you to know that you're loved. And you're valued, and you're important, and what we want to do is we want to add value in your life and tell you that the world has told you, and maybe other people have told you, that you're not worth anything or that you can't do anything. That is not the truth. Okay? If you are here, you have survived, so you've already proven that you can do something because you're a survivor. Absolutely. And so we're glad you're here, and you honor us by being here, and actually I believe that you're really taking a healthy step. Okay? A statement I said a while ago, I want to start off with that, and that is that recovery is living in reality. Think about that for a second. Recovery is living in reality. Where did you live before you lived in recovery? Well, in the land of denial, right? Lying, deception, hiding, avoiding, right? Am I telling the truth? And now, reality is a challenging place. But so is the land of denial, right? Right?
Is that like my fantasy?
That is absolutely like your fantasy.
My fantasy is all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, well, that's maybe in the beginning.
If I don't pay the electric bill, they don't cut it off in my fantasy.
Yeah, but eventually your fantasy is going to run headlong into the reality, and so your denial. Your system of denial won't work all the way through. So, but recovery, yeah. Well, you already know, right? So recovery is living in reality, and you need to see what reality is, and ask yourself the question: is it in my best interest to live in reality, or I like to say in truth? Okay. Now, truth is, we're all going to make mistakes. We have had and we will make mistakes, correct? Hello, I can't hear you. And as I was studying the steps, step 12, and I was studying our mission, I was going through and I read the first sentence of the information that Lisa read, and she read this sentence, and every time I go through the information, new things jump out at me and cause me to think, and it's beneficial for me to go through the information and go through the process and ask myself the questions and do the work. Okay, do the work because I do the work and it works on me, right? And if you don't do the work, then something's going to work on you, but it won't be the steps. Life will work on you, and the parts of life that you don't particularly like. You know what I'm talking about. All right.
We can relate with you because we're not like, well, he just not to be mean, but you can relate. We can relate with you that some people think I don't know how to put it. They're like, Hank, I can relate with Hank because Hank went through the same thing, and some people,
Well, we're all human, and we all have stuff, and we all need to learn how to totally rely on God instead of ourselves, which is what that's one of our biggest drawbacks is trying to rely on ourselves. Yes, we had to learn how to survive, but to be able to thrive, we have to switch up on that, and we have to begin to not totally rely on ourselves, but on our reliance to our higher power, or as far as I'm concerned, it's God. But this first sentence that I wanted to throw out here, and I put a big old question mark beside it. Okay, and it doesn't make sense yet, but maybe you'll hear it here in a second. This sentence was a life set free from all addictions by the Lord is a beautiful sight to behold. I put a big question there, question mark. Okay, well, why did I do that? Okay, because of the word all addictions. Okay, a life set free from all addictions. Now, that is, I was trained that any perfectionistic or perfect statement of something that is all or completely or for always or forever or anything, those questions, I need to really look at that, because in reality, that's probably that's not the way that it is. And when I look at this, there was a part of me that felt condemned. Listen to me. I felt condemned when I heard from all addictions, because that means, well, I should be perfect, right? All perfect. And how's that working for you?
I got there last week, but nobody did.
and so the reality here is we are being freed. Okay, I am much closer now than I was. Okay, I'm not like I was. All right, I'm better than I was, but I'm not as good as I'm going to be. Right, and because our relationship in this recovery, in our relationship with God, it is an ongoing process. Now, sometimes in a religious mindset, we think that it's about we step into the winner circle and we've totally attained, and then we sprout wings, so to speak. Have you seen anybody wearing any wings? Last week you did? Oh, on you, right? Yeah. Was that the week that you were yelling at the guys in the alley? Oh, that was 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry about that. Okay, yeah. That was horns? That was horns week. Okay. But you know what? The reality is, even that, as Lisa said earlier, that even that is a part of our healing and developing process. Okay? And that I am, hear me now, I'm serious as I can be, I am a sum total of everything that has happened and the choices I have made, healthy and unhealthy, out of my past. All right? Now, there was times in my past that I told God, why did I do this, and why did you let this happen to me, and why did they do this to me? You know, and the fact of it is, I wouldn't be who I am if those events hadn't occurred. Okay? Doesn't mean I have to like them.
I was going to say, right.
Not that I would want you to have to experience those, but you know what? There's been times that I said, I don't want to do it again, but I don't want to give up what I learned going through it. Right? right?
That's the thing that's crazy with me is that all the abuses that I've had, mentally, physically, and sexually abused, I wouldn't even change those because that would change me.
And so part of living in reality is accepting the past and being able to, and if you're able to accept that, then you're able to let go of that anger and judgment and pain, and and you become more free in that area. And if you can see resentment and unforgiveness and bitterness like anchors or weights, because they are anchors and weights. They weigh you down. They tear you down. They pull you down. They destroy your life. They pull. We're trying to grow from this lower nature individual that we are. You understand what I mean by lower nature? Okay, our physical nature into this, like step 12 talks about, is coming into that awakening, which is a higher nature. All right. A different way of thinking, all right? And if we're thinking unforgiveness and bitterness, where does that put us? What feelings do we feel? What vibrations are we experiencing? Where does that bring us? And because whatever you are, that's what you attract in your life. Haven't you ever realized that? And as Paul said in Romans chapter 7, around verse 14, he said, "Oh, wretched man that I am, who will deliver me from this body of death?" Because he had some of the same struggles that we all have. Right? And so what we need to do is we need to work on accepting reality instead of running from reality. And yes, one of our attempts, and there's many teachers in the recovery movement that says addiction is really a spiritual search. How many have ever heard that? Yes? Yes? No? Nobody's ever heard that? Yes? It's really a spiritual search. The trouble is we're looking for something to fill, to help us, to bring us into that place of serenity, peace, and oftentimes we look for things to escape or to numb or to avoid or to deny, right? But that doesn't bring us into that place of peace or serenity. Now, it is an attempt to try to address that pain, that hurt, that difficulty. So it's a step in the search, okay? But what we have to do is keep making steps and recognize what's not working. And if it's not working, stop trying to work that same step over and over, right? Because that's what Einstein said was insanity, correct? So I'm going to conclude with this, and everybody is aware of this. And before I do that, I want to read this statement that I have down. Oh, by the way, I have this paper back in the back that says SNL Thoughts number 3. I printed this out this week because we're going later on we're going to go over that video that we did last week, and we're going to go through it much slower this week, and that's about holidays and addiction recovery, about how to handle relapse. And we're going to go through that and talk about it. But we're talking about step 12 here. And so this is just a thought. It says enlightenment, or we can say awakening, is taking the dark places of our life and bringing light into it. Taking the dark places in our life and bringing light into it. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to turn light on inside of ourselves. And the scripture says that when you light a candle, okay, Now, you take if we are to put a LED light bulb and turn it on, and it's even 100 watt, that's going to throw out a bunch of light, right? A lot of lumens. But we're not going to put a basket over that. We're not going to put a barrel over it, right? Because the reason why we turned it on was to put out some light, right? Is that right, Dennis? That's right. And so what he was saying, that if we light a candle, the intention is to shine some light into the darkness. And each one of you, to whatever degree, you're light. Whether you don't believe that or not, but you are. Okay? And this is the Serenity Prayer, and you know this. This is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, right? So wait a second. This is an exercise in recognizing reality. The first step of reality is recognizing that if I want peace and serenity in my life, I first have to recognize there's things, I have to accept things that I can't change. Man, how many times have I gotten mad and upset about things that's outside of my control and angry at that and wanting to change it and be mad about it and can hold on to that for years? Hold on to it for years. And what does that do to us? Because we're trying to change something that's outside of our ability to change. We can't control that, right? Am I telling the truth? How can you change the past? That is correct. That's correct. That's right. It's behind you. So we recognize it's the past, right? It's not in our control. And if it's not in our control, I mean, we know these words, but living by them is another story, isn't it? Reality. That I can't change them. Then the courage. Now, if that wasn't hard enough, that sentence, the next one, and the courage to change the things that I can. I'd rather be mad and upset and try to control things that are not in my control than changing things that it's in my control. It's easier to try to change things that I can't change. Now, isn't that a dumb statement? How many of you live that way? It's easier to control things that I can't change because I can't change them. I can be mad about it. And then I feel like I'm doing something. I feel powerful. Right? Isn't that the way we do it? Hello? Hello? Amen or oh me? Oh me. Courage to change the things that I can. The courage to change the things that I can. God, help us to have the courage to change the things that I can. We don't have that courage, but He wants to give us that courage. And you won't get all the courage all at once, I don't believe. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Some people might.
That's what fixes it all, right?
And the wisdom to know the difference. Wisdom is having the knowledge and then knowing how to use it properly.
That takes practice.
And if we're wanting recovery, then we're really then working on living in reality. Does that make sense? Reality is accepting the things the way that they are, even if I don't like them. Because if I accept things the way they are, then there's a greater possibility that I might be able to affect those things. But if I use this illustration, if you say, I'm going to pretend I don't see that bus coming down the road and I'm standing in the middle of the road, How's that going to work out for you?
Yes.
And how many times do you have to do that to learn? Well, some people have to do it a lot, right? It may not be a bus. It may be something else. You pick whatever your stuff is. Yes, sir.
You were talking about the light.
Yes.
So I think you talked about, these things that push us around and we can't forgive and these things that have happened to us. What I've learned is that if I will let what happened to me, if I will use that to help somebody else, I get better.
Yes.
And that's dragging it into the light.
Yes.
And when we do that, it loses its power.
Yes.
And so, when I got something that's working me over, I don't go to the rooftop and shout it, but there's usually an opportunity that will come up, and I have to decide whether I'm going to share or not share.
And that is the truth.
And if I'll go ahead and use what happened to me to help somebody else, sometimes it's just saying, hey, I've been there, and then, sharing that part of your story, it's healing. And then the more that you do that, the more light gets shed on it, and then the less heavy it is on you.
And the less you're pushed around, internally and externally.
All that stuff you're talking about, that's,
Bring the light into it. And our human nature is to run and hide and get in the darkness, right? That's just the way we are. Well, that's the way I am. I don't know about you. Yes, ma'am?
Talking about living in reality, I remember a conversation I had with you one time, and it was a very hard conversation. I was really struggling. I had some hard decisions to make, and it felt like no matter what decision I had to make, it was going to hurt. I was going to feel pain one way or the other, and I was in a place where I was like, I don't want to make a decision, irregardless. I just don't want to do this. And you said, well, you're going to feel pain, but making a decision, you're going to have to just decide which one you can live with. And I didn't realize how powerful that was for me to be able to make a choice. And I realized later on, like processing through that living for years and years and years, running from the pain, allowed my pain to make my decisions. But by deciding which pain I could live with, I took back my power.
Yes.
And I was able to make decisions about which pain I could live with.
Yes.
And it no longer made my decisions for me.
Yes.
And so it was, reality is taking back my power to decide which one I could live with and which one I was going to not live with.
Yes. Yeah.
So I didn't, it's not letting your pain make your decisions for you.
Absolutely. You make me want to go back and talk about the tools book there, about those tools, which is that exact same thing. And our human nature is to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Anybody got that down? Avoid pain and seek pleasure. That's human nature. But all growth, and we know this. All growth requires stepping into the pain, doing something that we've not been able to do. And the rest of the story is the pain that we were afraid of by taking the step into the area of growth. Yes, there was a little bit of pain there, but nowhere near to the pain that you were going to have in that suffering pain, nihilistic form of pain. But I've talked more than I was supposed to. But anyway, if you don't quit, you'll get better and better and better. You don't think that you're making any progress, but you are making progress because people see it whether you see it or not. And that's the absolute truth. If you plant a seed, and you know this, if you plant a seed in the earth, you don't want to go out and dig it up the next day to see how much it's grown, right?
Or go out there and it's sprouted up the next day either. Right?
And so you got to give things that believe that there's enough power in that truth or in that seed that it's going to grow. You've got some things, you've grabbed a hold of some things, you felt some life go in you tonight and hopefully later on. That is life seed, and it will work because there's life in it. And life produces. That is faith. That is faith. And even if you don't believe it, it's still going to happen. Because you felt it. And I believe whether you're consciously aware of it or not, unconsciously you are. And it will and it does work in you. Absolutely. I like something that old Jimmy Yeager used to always say. He'd always say, I didn't believe it, but Doug did. So I was just going to believe him because I did. So, it works. Love you guys.
You know, Doug puts hours and hours into what he prepares for us for his 20-minute thing. So let's show him again how much we appreciate that effort. Thank you, Doug. And who's ready for clean